If you clicked on this video, you want to know how to make tofu taste good. In this video, I'm going to be showing you a few tips and tricks on how to make tofu taste amazing, along with 4 different recipes of different tofu meals. My name's Carly, and I make everything vegan and gluten-free. In this video, we're going to be making teriyaki tofu, sesame tofu sticks, marry me tofu, and last but not least, breakfast sandwich tofu. 4 of my favorite recipes. If you missed my last tofu video, mashup mega recipe video, I'll link it here so you can go check that out. Another 4 amazing tofu recipes. And with that, let's get into the first recipe. For this recipe, we're going to need 1 block of extra firm tofu, orange juice or water, brown sugar, garlic powder, ground ginger, gluten-free soy sauce. Let's go. 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 2 tablespoons of orange juice or water. I decided to just might as well try the orange juice because I have it. I feel like it'll give it that nice tangy teriyaki flavor. 2 tablespoons of the brown sugar, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of ground ginger. Let's give it a whisk. Looking at the amount of liquids here, I already know this is going to not be enough. I'd like to have extra sauce if we can. So I'm gonna double the liquids. So 2 more tablespoons of soy sauce. But instead of the orange juice, I'll do 2 tablespoons of water. You really want to make sure that the sugar is dissolved and you don't have a bunch of undissolved sugar sitting at the bottom. Looks perfection. Let's prep our tofu. I freeze all of my tofu and then I defrost them. I like doing this a lot because it makes sure that you can get as much liquid out of the tofu as possible, which means then once you remove the liquid, the tofu can absorb more flavors. So what I do, I just grab it out, I drain it, and then I'll squeeze it in my hands like this, like just squeezing over the sink, just any way literally that you can think of squeezing it without like destroying the block. And I found this works really well actually, and it's more convenient and faster than just like pressing it, I find. So for the teriyaki, I'm going to do cubes. I think what's going to work best is if I cut it in half first. That way I can kind of cut it into thirds and make not too thick of cubes, and then we'll just do, I think in thirds will be good. There we go, that will be I think that's a perfect size, little tofu cubies. Another thing with freezing the tofu is you get this really nice texture. So if you were to break this off into chunks, it would be more similar to like a chicken. So you can see all the little, you get that nice flaky kind of texture. Our last step is to just toss all of our tofu chunkies in here. You can use whatever kind of container that you think will be best. As long as it has a lid, it'll be easy because we can literally just put the lid on and shake it up, and that will coat all of the tofu pieces. We're all combined. Let's put it in the fridge. I would suggest minimum 30 minutes to let it sit if you're going to eat it right away. The best I found is actually leaving the tofu overnight. To marinate, that would be under the best circumstances. I'm not sure when I'm going to use this, so I'm going to put it in the fridge for a day, probably see if we use it tomorrow. If not, you can always also just pop this in the freezer like this. Whenever you decide you want to eat it, pull it out of the freezer, you're ready to go. Let's pull out the tofu from the fridge. It's been in there overnight, and throw it into a frying pan. I flip the tofu and y'all look at this. They look so good and crispy. They look so good and juicy. I've decided that I'm going to try to replicate one of the bowls from a local shop here. It's called, wait, what is it called? I think it's called the Japanese salad from Happy's. Pretty much, I've got a few of the ingredients. I'm missing a couple, so I'm like, whatever, it'll be good enough, and I'll add a few of my own. So we're gonna make a salad with this today. I thought it'd be really good. I think this would be really good in like a wrap too. I just don't have any wraps right now. So I'll show you what I've prepared. Here we have the kale for the base of the salad. I put some lemon juice and salt, and then I just go in with my hands and massage it for like 3 minutes massage it really well because my stomach cannot digest this if it is not like massaged. Okay, y'all, just to let y'all know, if that is the case with you as well, make sure you massage it. And then I have avocado, carrots, cucumber, and some of the coleslaw mix, which is just basically cabbage for our salad. But one thing we're missing is the dressing, so let's quickly make up our dressing. For our dressing, it's going to be an orange vinaigrette, 2 tablespoons of orange juice, 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar, 3/4 of a teaspoon of soy sauce, gluten-free of course, 1/8 of a teaspoon of dry mustard, 1/2 tablespoon of olive oil, 3/4 of a teaspoon of sesame oil. I estimated some of these 3/4 when I was measuring. And 1/2 teaspoon, again, I just eyeballed it on my 1 teaspoon measure of maple syrup. You can use sugar as well. So I halved this recipe because I thought that 1/2 cup of dressing was going to be way too much for just 1 single serving salad. So this is 1/2 of the recipe. In the description, I'll make sure to put the full recipe in case, you know, you're making this for more than just yourself. Let's give it a little whisk. Alrighty, y'all, let's make our salad, starting with our kale first. That might be too much. Then let's do cabbage, I guess. I don't know. I'm just gonna go in a line and see how that works out for us. Cucumbers. Our shredded carrots. The avocado. Ta-da! Our tofu, of course. We'll do our garnishes, our little green onions and our sesame seeds first, and then the dressing. I honestly don't know if I should put the dressing and then the garnishes, but whatever. This is the order I'm gonna do it in. Now, time for our dressing. I'm just gonna use my little measuring cup instead of the whole bowl because I don't want to just demolish it. Oh my gosh, y'all, this looks so freaking good. I'm gonna try and get a little bit of avocado in here too if I can. I don't know, I might not be able to. Whoa. Oh my god. That is so good. That is so freaking good. Wow. Okay. I forgot I was gonna put feta cheese on here. Diet feta cheese, but actually it does not need cheese at all. It tastes so good. The avocado just pulls everything together. The bowl I'm trying to mimic normally has edamame beans, furikake, if that's how you say it, and radishes, I believe. I think those were the only ingredients I was missing. But anyways, this is so good. Let me try some of the tofu for you. I don't know if I have a piece that doesn't have any of the dressing on it to see if I can taste it. I don't know if it had dressing on it, but either way, this teriyaki is so good. Oh my god, this whole thing, yo. The orange vinaigrette is really giving like orange fresh. That's so good. All right, y'all, that's it for this recipe. Let's move right on to the next one. Sesame tofu sticks. I believe it's like an appetizer. I've made it once before and they were meh, so we're gonna make them better this time. Let's get right into the recipe. For this recipe, we're going to be needing tofu, of course. Today I'm gonna try using this firm tofu instead of extra firm tofu. Sesame oil, you can use toasted if you have it. Rice vinegar, it does say rice wine, but I'm not sure if there's a difference. Gluten-free soy sauce or tamari, maple syrup, chili flakes, black pepper, mustard powder, cornstarch, and water. Oil, I'm going to be using this olive oil from a local oil place today. A clove of garlic, I already peeled it, and some ginger, fresh ginger. This block was frozen and I just squeezed out gently, just in between my hands like this, and like, you know, however you can squeeze it without breaking it entirely. That's how I did it, to get all the liquid out as much as I can. And a lot of liquid came out. But I'm going to cut these into stick-like forms. So I'm thinking we'll cut the block into thirds here. I mean, hopefully this block is not too fragile because it is firm and not extra firm. Oh yeah, look at that. Like all of that will just soak right up, all of the flavors, y'all. This is why I wanted to try it with the firm block instead of the extra firm, because I figured maybe it would soak up extra. Look at that. So we're gonna just cut them into strips, just like so. About that big. Okay, our sticks are done. It's totally okay if a couple of them maybe broke. Like, it's just, you're just making them for your home. It's not a big deal, okay? And then this last piece, I accidentally cut it the opposite direction. So they're a little bit shorter just by a bit, but that's okay. For this step, we're gonna make our cornstarch slurry. So I'm gonna do 3 teaspoons of cornstarch and 3 tablespoons of water. Whisk this all together so that it is all dissolved. The next step is going to be soaking our little friends here, our little strips, in the cornstarch slurry, and I'm just gonna put them into another Tupperware container here because they're gonna want to sit for 10 minutes in this. All right, I ran out, so I just quickly made another little batch of the cornstarch slurry here. And if there is any leftover, I'm probably just gonna pour it on top of all of these in my container, just to really make sure we have a good coating of it. The cornstarch gives it a nice crispy outside, so that is the point of doing this. I'm going to just let these sit and soak here for 10 minutes and then we'll come back. Our 10 minutes is up. Now I'm going to do 2 different methods here because I'm curious. Last time I just did them in the oven, so we're gonna do half of the batch in the oven. We're baking them at 400 degrees, and the other half I'm going to put in a frying pan and fry them to see how different they come out. And we're baking these at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes, flipping halfway through. Here's our other half. I have a bunch of coconut oil in here. I couldn't decide what kind of oil I wanted to use, so coconut it became. Okay, we're gonna fry these up. The next step is to make our sauce, so we're going to do 1 tablespoon of olive oil. Oh, that might be up. 1/4 cup of soy sauce, which I honestly think this is like so much soy sauce, but okay. 3 tablespoons of rice vinegar or rice wine vinegar. This is honestly kind of hard to see in the metal spoon, I'm not gonna lie. 2 teaspoons of sesame oil. Honestly, love this stuff. So good in Asian dishes. 1 clove of garlic minced. I'm using fresh garlic right from a local farm, and it's so juicy and delicious, y'all. 1 teaspoon of freshly grated ginger. I used my zester to grate it. And if you like spice, do a teaspoon of red chili pepper flakes, but I do not, and the ginger is gonna be hot, so I'm just gonna do like 2, like a little, just a little few shakes. 1/2 teaspoon of mustard powder, 2 teaspoons of maple syrup. Also, don't ask why I keep swapping hands. I don't know. Sometimes I pour with my left, sometimes I pour with my right hand. I don't know. It says 1/2 teaspoon black pepper. I'm gonna do like 1/4 because I feel like this is gonna end up being really spicy if I put a whole 1/2 teaspoon. All right, give this a mix. I'm sure the last time I did this, I also probably used ginger powder. I often keep ginger in the fridge, but I just never use it. I'm too lazy. But it's much better to use the fresh ingredients like garlic and ginger instead of using the powder kind, you know. Let's pop this in a small pan on the stove, just on low, and it's supposed to thicken, so we'll do that for a few minutes while the tofu is still cooking. All right, guys, here's our sauce. It's nice and hot and ready, and we have our little crispy tofu from the pan. So I will warn you, the pan, if you're doing them in oil, it's gonna spray everywhere, so just be careful. So let's compare. We'll do a little quickie. of the pan-fried. Do you see? You hear that? Crispy. So what I'm gonna do is toss them in here and just kind of soak them up for a little bit in here. I don't want them to be too overly seasoned in the sauce, so I'm just gonna toss them, mix them around a bit to make sure they actually absorb the sauce too, because they are kind of crispy and everything on the outside. They tend to kind of, you know, make a barrier to entry against the tofu inside. So I would just toss them in here for a few minutes to get them really nice and coated before we plate them. And the other half is still in the oven. We have about 5 minutes left, so we can just do this for a few minutes here. These are looking magnificent, so let's grab a nice little plate here, and then I'll try and plate them nicely. I don't even know if this is going to be a good idea with using a fork, but... And of course you can put this on rice or something, but her recipe, I think from like the Air one, is normally like an appetizer, and I believe that there they just literally serve them as an appy like this, like, you know? So I don't know, maybe it's supposed to be on a better, actually this looks like fairly terrible, but you know what? All right, y'all, we have our oven baked tofus. So you can see that they're definitely crispy, but like airy and crispy, you know what I'm saying? It's a different, like almost dry. So let's plop these. Same thing, we're going to just kind of smother them in the sauce like we did to the other ones. I don't know if y'all can tell, but I do think these ones might be absorbing it up a little bit better because they don't have that oil protecting them. What I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take, so that I don't get confused, I'll take a couple off of this plate and then I'll put some of these on there for the picture. I'm gonna replate it nicely. I decided I know what I can do to make it look better, but let's go ahead and get these out of here. So let's do a quick side by side. I mean, these ones look better, honestly, I think, but because I just like took them out of the sauce, since these ones have been sitting for a couple minutes, they kind of look weird now. But anyways, let's plate them up nice. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably gonna look absolutely horrible, but it's fine. So let me scoot those over there. I'll take a couple of these. So I know those two are from that. I'm going to just try to scoop these, and we're going to put the lettuce, try and make the lettuce look pretty, but it looks horrible, horrible, horrible. Honestly, it's so horrible, but whatever. Okay, there's that first layer. All right, here is our, Clay's literally roasting me for my plating. I'm gonna put just a little bit more sauce. He did taste test it just now, and he said, you know what, they could use more marinating. So I could leave them in here longer, or even just pop them back in here, which would be fine too. And then to garnish, we have sesame seeds, y'all, and fresh from the garden green onions. We'll sprinkle some on here. I think actually I probably could have cut them like and made them look more pretty, but that's fine. Okay, there's our final plate, y'all. I'm terrible at plating, but you know, I'm a baker, so it's fine. Let's taste test. Okay, y'all, time to see which one is better, or if we can really even tell the difference. So here is our up and baked. Oh, those are very good. Very good. I think you could almost add a little bit more like sweetness to bring out something. I don't know. That would be, I think that would be really good. It is like a salty. You can taste the ginger and the garlic. But other than that, and the sesame, other than that, yeah, maybe I just need to soak them longer. And the pan fried. Okay. I think I like the pan fry better. See if I can show you guys like the texture inside. That's from the ginger, that little hairy thing. Yeah, very spongy on the inside and crispy on the outside from the pan frying. But of course, if you're trying to avoid oil, then the baking is a great idea and they taste just as good. Oh my god, y'all. I'm dipping it more in the sauce. And with the green onions and the sesame seeds, it is so good. They're so good. The flavors are flavoring, and this would be so good on top of rice or even in a wrap maybe. So delicious. I'm gonna get back to devouring these, and I will see you guys for the next recipe. Today I'm gonna be making marry me tofu, and last time I made this it was delicious, so we're making it again. A little bit different style, different recipe than before, and I have a good feeling about it. Let's get right into the ingredients. Let's start by making our marinade first. For the marinade, we are going to need our gluten-free soy sauce, nutritional yeast, some vegan mayo or oil, hot sauce of your choice, vinegar, I'm gonna use apple cider vinegar, garlic powder, paprika, onion powder, and water. This recipe calls for 32 ounces of super firm tofu, which equals to about 900 grams, but our blocks are 350 grams, so what I'm going to do is just cut the marinade part in half. I think the other part will be fine. So we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, our gluten-free soy sauce, of course. 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, half a teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of hot sauce, 2 tablespoons vegan mayo, 1 tablespoon of water, and 1 teaspoon of vinegar. I have half a teaspoon here, so I'm just gonna do it twice. We'll grab a fork and mix this up. I've never seen a recipe like this, like a marinade, use mayo like this. That's then going to be cooked. So, you know, mayo is usually like, I guess it does say you can use oil instead. To me, mayo is like a cold food ingredient, you know? This smells so good already. Let's prep our tofu. I don't know why I put it on a cutting board. I'm not gonna cut it this time. So my tofu was frozen. I love freezing my tofu. It just gives it such a much better texture, and as well, you can squeeze out way more liquid out of it after it's been frozen and defrosted. And I just literally squeeze it. Like, I just squeeze as much as I can out without wrecking it. So for us, we're using extra firm tofu. Here is our marinade. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm just gonna tear these off into pieces instead of, oh, there you can have a nice good shot of, that's how it looks after you freeze it. It looks so good. So what I'm gonna do is just tear pieces off instead and try it that way, because I feel like that's gonna turn out really good. Instead of making them like fillets like they do. Plus, he did say to use super firm tofu, so I figure, well, since I'm using extra firm, I've never even seen super firm ever. So yeah, this is easy enough. Just literally tear it into chunks, whatever size you want, and we'll marinate this for 30 minutes. My favorite thing is to just put a lid, use a container that has a lid, put the lid on, and then, well, make sure it's really on good, and then just get to shaking to really get all of the tofu coated in the marinade. That is looking amazing. We're gonna pop it in the fridge for 30 minutes minimum. You can do overnight. I would recommend doing overnight. Tofu always works the best when you marinate things overnight. Okay, y'all, but we don't have time, so we're having it tonight. So we're gonna do half an hour. It has been a little bit over 30 minutes. So we have our tofu here. It is looking amazing, smelling amazing. Our pan is hot. I have it on kind of medium. It's at level 4 on my stove. I don't want it to be too hot that it burns. Ooh. The tofu is looking excellent, so we're gonna take it out of the pan. we're gonna keep the pan on. We need 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm just estimating here, guys, because it's honestly a lot easier when you have a brick of butter to do that. Next we have, it says 5 cloves of garlic. I had 3 ginormous cloves. A few dashes of chili flakes and 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Just gonna kind of put it in here. We're just gonna cook this for a minute because we don't want it to burn. Next, we're gonna add 2 cups of vegetable broth. Next, we're going to add half a cup of coconut milk. I have a light coconut milk here. The recipe does call for cashew cream, but I decided I didn't want to make any, so we're gonna try coconut milk. 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Mix this in here so it dissolves. And I've turned the pan up to over level 6. We want to bring this to a simmer, so just raise the heat. 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And about a 1/3 cup of sun-dried tomatoes. Gonna give this a good mix in here. All right, this is not in the recipe, but I thought to make it a little bit more bulky, let's put some veggies. So I have some cauliflower. Put this in now. And once the cauliflower is soft, that's when we will judge, which should only take maybe 5 minutes. And I'm gonna turn it down a bit and put a lid on, just because I don't want to boil out any of our liquid here, but I want to keep it simmering and like steam the cauliflower in there. We are looking amazing. The cauliflower is pretty soft. However, because I used the coconut milk, it's not very thick, so I'm gonna throw in like a spoon-ish full of cornstarch here, just to try and thicken it up. All right, we're gonna do one more because that was not enough. Let's hope for the best, y'all. Cornstarch is amazing at thickening things. Usually you want to obviously mix it into the liquid, like not hot liquid. You want to mix it into room temperature, something or other first, but it's fine. All right, let's add it back in our tofu. Give it a good mix in here. And we can taste test this to see if it needs any salt or pepper, anything like that, any more seasonings. This looks so good, and those pieces of tofu, I swear they look like real chicken. Let me know if you guys think it looks like real chicken, because that looks so good. Let's plate it up. For today I did just some basmati rice. You can do gluten-free pasta, would probably be really good too. Maybe even some potatoes. And of course I had to spill it. The main event, our Marry Me tofu, looking delicious. Oh yeah. I think I will just top it with a few green onions. We love green onions here, y'all. You could probably also top it with some parsley too, would look really good. So that is our final meal. Taste test time, y'all. I got a chunk of tofu. Really excited to see how the tofu tastes. Wow, that's so flavorful. Ooh, oh my gosh, that's so good. It's like salty and like so flavorful. Oh my god, the tofu is nice and tender. Here, let's try a cauliflower so we can get more of the sauce flavor. That's so good. Definitely has to go on something plain because it is salty. That is so freaking good. I can't believe it's taken me so long to make this recipe again. Moving on to the final recipe. And this is a recipe that I have made a million times, like so many times. It is so good, it never fails. It is good for so much variety. Okay, we will be making breakfast sandwich tofu, recipe originally by It Doesn't Taste Like Chicken. With that, let's get into the ingredients. We're going to be needing tofu. You can use extra firm, or sometimes I use firm just depending on how I'm using it. Today we're going to make a sandwich with it, so I'm going to be using the extra firm, and it has been frozen and defrosted so we can get as much water out of it as possible. Soy sauce, gluten-free of course, you can use tamari if you'd like. Olive oil, nutritional yeast. This brand is very, very weird, and actually this is nutritional yeast that I got from Bulk Barn and then put into this bag, because normally I like the Bob's Red Mill. Liquid smoke, ours is a hickory one. This stuff is so good, you guys. Garlic powder. We also need water in our recipe, but obviously. Our first step is to make our sauce. So any bowl, or I like to use Tupperware, and we're going to do 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of gluten-free soy sauce or tamari, 1 teaspoon of liquid smoke. Honestly, I normally just estimate this and just pour it in a tablespoon. Half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Also, I usually guesstimate and just sprinkle a bunch in. And 2 tablespoons of water. And we're gonna give this a stir to combine all of the ingredients. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either choose a container that will fit all of your tofu and dip them, coat them, and then stack them up and put them in the Tupperware or container, whatever, and leave them in there to marinate. Or you can do what I'm going to be doing, because I'm going to be coating these and then putting them into a different container that fits better. You can just do that. Or you can, if you're going to not do slices, you can just cube up your tofu or break them off into pieces, throw them in the container that's big enough to fit everything and shake it out to marinate. That's really easy too. But since we're doing sandwich slices, I'm going to just do the marinade one and then a container to set all the tofu in second. Next, let's prep our tofu. So I have squeezed out, just with my hands, I just squeezed out as much liquid as I could without breaking. Broke a little bit. My tofu, I'm gonna have my marinade here and my other bowl off to the side so I can just dip and put into the container. And we're going to do fairly thin-ish slices. That way it'll get more marinade and they'll be more flavorful if we have thinner slices. Let's start dipping and dunking. And I've decided to just put them onto a plate because whatever. Now, if you're using a firm tofu that's going to be more absorbent, you'll want to increase your amounts of the marinade that you use, because that tofu just soaks up everything, whereas the extra firm here is not going to soak up as much, which is also why you want to marinate this one at least half an hour. More overnight would be best. 4 hours to overnight would be best. Half an hour is good too. I've definitely just soaked it for half an hour and it's been totally fine. It might just not be as flavorful, but if you don't mind the flavor of tofu, then that's totally okay. And we're finished. So either you could just even stack everything back in here to sit in the marinade, or what I do is once these are in the pan, I'll just save this and then dump this on top of the tofu while it's cooking. So I'm just gonna let it sit here on the table for half an hour. We'll come back and then cook it after. Our timer is up. It's been 30 minutes. Our pan is hot. It's on about medium heat. What I like to do is just use my fork to put them in here so I don't have to dirty my hands. And I like to use a grill pan as well. I just like the grill marks. It just looks good, but you don't have to. You can just use a regular pan. I do like that this one though, because it's a little bit better with the non-stick. I've got our little leftover sauce. I'm just gonna drizzle it around. So then when we flip them, it'll be on the other side. And we're going to cook these for about five-ish minutes on each side. It really depends on how you want your tofu to be. If you want it to be like a little bit more crispy, or how wet your tofu really is from all of the sauce and how much you were able to squeeze out of the tofu. So I'll give it 5 minutes, then I'll check and see what the grill marks look like. Our 5 minutes is up. They are looking like they're ready to be flipped. So usually I start with the first one that I put in the pan. Ooh, but it probably doesn't really matter unless you took forever. But these are looking beautiful. This is exactly what you want, y'all. A nice, crisp, fake grill lines. And then we're gonna cook this for another 3 to 5 minutes. Our minutes are up, so let's have a look. Oh yeah, these are looking perfection. Look a little bit weird because of the extra seasoning on top. So I'm going to take these out. Actually, I was debating melting some cheese on these, but I can just put some vegan cheese on top of the sandwich while I pack it up. Let's build our sandwich, y'all. I'll add my trusty dusty bread from my local gluten-free bakery. Look how thick those slices are. It's a multi-grain. It is so freaking good, y'all. And we're gonna put some vegan mayo. Today I have Compliments vegan mayo. It's actually really good, even though it's like a, I don't know what it's called, a local brand, not like a big name. I would kind of make this like a BLT, but I'm not feeling the tomatoes today, so we're gonna go with mayo. Our tofu. Look how good that looks. Oh my goodness. And obviously, like, just stack it up how you see fit, and be careful because it's hot. Okay, now let's do a little cheese. Today we're going to put on some BioLife cheddar cheese. Would be much better melted, obviously, but I didn't feel like melting it. Okay, and then last but not least, a leaf of some lettuce, y'all. Okay, this is like a massive piece of lettuce. Perfect. Ta-da! Like I said, I would put tomato, but it's okay. We're not gonna do tomato today. Give it a nice slice. Are you a triangle person or a completely in half type of person? You tell me. I also made, since we had to wait, I made some fries, some homemade potato fries, put some salt, pepper, garlic, and Greek seasoning. Ta-da! Look how good. Obviously, if the cheese was melted, it would look more amazing. Alrighty, let's try a bite. It's literally perfect. I make this for lunch so much. Like I said, marinated overnight. So flavorful. And I like the firm tofu because it just like soaks it all up. And it's like almost tender and juicy. It's so good. This is so good as a sandwich. I just make it up and cook it and then eat it cold sometimes even. Like, it's so easy, it's so fast, and it is so delicious. It really, the liquid smoke really adds that like sausagey, like breakfast sandwich flavor. It's so good, y'all. Oh, do you want to see a close-up of my fries? They're kind of sucky. I put them in the oven and then I pan fried them, but it's my first time doing it, so pretty good. That is it for all of our tofu videos. 4 down. Go watch my other 4 recipe video that I've made, I think 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Tofu 4 ways. There is 4 other recipes that are amazing and super easy. Comment down below if you do or if you have tried them already. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you like, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!